We still on location. Dyer, Evelyn at the Rasta Lock Studio, getting ready for this lock workshop that's about to start in any moment. So we finna get in there. We finna let the people do some talking, and we gonna just have some fun and just kind of, learn something together. Let me know what y'all think about that. I kind of see how I'm already going a little slow. I guess the internet over here ain't as good as it need to be. So, but we gonna get it together. I'm very interested to see what tonight this event is going to hold and what it's going to bring. My phone is on 40%, but we should be good. We should be good. I don't see we have no problem. And then I got a little portable charger I can hook up in case need be. So I might just go ahead and hook that up now, so that way it give us the juice that we need. Or I'll see when it get down to 20%. I don't know. But it's Cowboy Richie, 24-hour hair doctor, chopping in, shaking in. We on location. We on location. We on location. Let me go ahead and just pull this out. Nah. So we gonna get it popping anyway in a second. But right now we on location, standing outside Ross's Lock Studio. And yes, ma'am. Event is started. Let's get in there.
I'm ready to go back to hair full time. I found back in love with it, so I'm ready. But I'm hosting this workshop today, so we can just go over how to maintain your hair and your hairstyles, right? Just maintenance, how to maintain healthy hair, right? So they'll introduce themselves. There's a couple of people that work here at this workshop, Rastas, by my mommy. So she can explain how it runs around here, but yeah, so we can start off with Miss Delana.
Hi.
So I've been doing hair for 10 years, but 5 years professionally. I started at, I don't know if anybody else, but Legacy Lamont. He's from Legacy Barbershop. I started with him. And then from there, salon, and then probably 9 months after doing hair for other people, I opened up process over on Harrison Salon, one of the other locations. And then we were there for 3 years. We opened up here June of last year, the year before. So it's going to be 2 years June this year that we've opened at this location. I started by myself, and then now it's 8 of us. So we slowly started growing. We've expanded. We have a barber, we have 2 braiders, and the rest of us, all of us do locks, even the barber and the braider. Everybody that comes here usually trains from the ground up. Even if they have previous knowledge, they pay their training. And if they want a resident station, they can stay here. I started doing locks with my husband. I never had intentions of professionally doing it. So the things you can learn, despite what you know, my sister-in-law is one of them. She never had touched horse hair in her life, and she is now probably one of the most concise here. So anything you want to learn or ask, we're open for questions. And that's about it. We've been over here for, like I said, about 2 years. We're still training. Right now, Miss Amani's in training. She's our newest one. And yes. Yes, hopefully we can get you here too. So usually when we train, we do like a whole month of promos during that time. The girls are able to get like their inventory. They're able to learn during that month. They don't pay bootprint or anything like that. It allows them to build their clientele. And everything we learn is organic here. We don't add hair. We try to stay away from color. Color is the beginning of the end for locks. They've done irresponsibly. No, sorry, it's not the end. Yeah, we try to limit color. questions. It's nice to meet you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. You guys are more than welcome to help yourselves to anything, okay? And this is Moti. She's my sister-in-law. She's been with me for almost 3 years now. January was 3 years? Yeah, January was 3 years, and she started with us at the shop. And we are top 3 best hair salons in the city, and it's the only salon that caters to Black people. All the other categories is basically either Hispanic-owned, Caucasian-owned, or they cater to straight hair. So this is probably the only shop in that category that caters to locks. So we're top 3. We're best in the city and best of El Paso. And hopefully next year we can finally make it to the second and third place.
I'm shy. Come on, Bobby, you got this? You got this? Yeah,
Give me a shot first, bro.
Right.
I'm Goldilocks, her sister-in-law. I've been married to her brother 15 years now.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You got married.
Well, I started this business. I was working at an elementary school, which I didn't like. And she trained me very well, which is she's going to show you all right now. All the things she taught me that made me a really good loctician. I'm blessed to be here. What can I say? I'm too shy. I'm Mexican. I just love her. You're gonna love this. You guys are gonna love it, and you're gonna love her.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She's the best in El Paso, to be honest. That's something in El Paso. Yes.
Amani, don't run.
Everybody loves me.
Like Marissa said, I am the newest trainee. It's been a wonderful experience. Training under you has been super fun. My children are locked, and I was locked once before. This is my second go around. But that's how I got into lock. I originally started locking my kids, and I enjoy doing it. There's a lot of things I didn't know about maintaining my own children's hair, and some wrong decisions I made, and I know that now. It's been really great learning those things so that I can help my kids' hair be better as well as other people's. So I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah.
So I'm Delight, or you can call me Danielle. I'm part of the team. I have my spot in the back. I did 20 years in the service. I'm blessed to be part of this team. It's a wonderful team to be part of. This is an all-women team, and just be part of this family is not just a team, it's a family. I come here every day, and I smile and laugh every day because there's always something new happening here every day. My turn is here, face the wall. I'm the oldest here, part of this team, and I love it. I'm the grandma of this team, so it's wonderful here. I could not have asked for a better family here. Miss Serena has a heart of gold. She will do anything for anybody. You can call her up at any time, and she's always there for you. And I thank her. Same thing for the adults, and she's the same way. These two women, I couldn't ask for a better group of women to work for. So that's why I'm always going above and beyond for these two women. This goal to me has been helping to grow my hair out and my cancer.
Yes.
I'm very thankful for that.
So, according to our schedule, we're going to do my best to, just go according to our schedule. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is proper cleansing techniques. Everybody's going to get a little spill about proper cleansing techniques. I know for me, what I've noticed, especially when it comes to locks, make sure that you focus not just on your hair, but on your scalp as well. Make sure that you're getting that buildup out. And when you are cleansing your locks, that you're squeezing them as well, because buildup can definitely hide inside. It looks like it's clean on the outside, but on the inside. I don't know if you've ever seen like a lock cut in half. It's nothing but buildup. That's what it's like.
When you say buildup, what kind of buildup?
Oil buildup, skin buildup, lint is a huge thing. A lot of people wear like hoodies or they don't wear bonnets when they go to sleep, because lint can get buildup inside of the lock.
That's, yeah, like the skin over buildup of product. With locks, I would say less is best. People lose natural coarse hair and lock natural coarse hair are two different things. So a lot of people always tell me, well, no, bro, I gotta moisturize. You don't know what you're talking about. You do, but you wouldn't go to the gym, work out, leave, and put lotion on. So if you leave the shop, you know, if you leave the shop, basically, whoever's taking care of your hair, the number one thing is if you see somebody wash your hair one time, run for the hills.
Okay.
You need to get your hair washed like 2 or 3 times. Depending on how dirty the person's hair is. A lot of people take medication, a lot of people stress, a lot of people tell me, oh, well, it's because such and such told me to do this. But such and such might not drink water, might not wash their hair, might be stressing, might not ever cover their hair. So you can't follow someone else's routine. Your scalp is your scalp. I feel like with locks, a lot of people leave the shop, and if you're being properly cared for, you should already have steam, treatment, oil, rose water. You leave, you're good for the next week or 2. If you do want to moisturize, I say do it probably within the first 2 weeks after your retwist. After that, it's just literally layers on top of dead skin, dirt, sweat, and then you go and you're like, I'm itching, well, let me put some oil. Now you have dead skin, sweat, dirt, and then you have oil, and then you go and work out some more, and then you do another layer, and that's where the buildup comes from. If you want to re-moisturize, water is a moisturizer, oil is a sealant. So the oil only works when your pores are open. Once you wash the hair and penetrate the product, it closes the pore and you're moisturized. After that, basically, I don't ever recommend coconut or castor. It's just very heavy on locks. And I feel like peppermint, rosemary, lighter carrier oils like sunflower, grapeseed oil, almond oil. Those are really good because they're lighter on the scalp. But like I said, they're only going to take off the itching, not so much moisturizing because the pores closed and the cuticle to your shaft of your lock has already been closed. So if you want to re-moisturize, I always recommend washing. If you're doing the method of coiling, more than likely you have to wait 2 to 3 weeks if you want to wash. You don't have to. I would always recommend water is your best friend. Water locks you faster and it moisturizes you, but you do have to do it within probably 3 weeks because obviously that's when the budding process happens and you'll have retention at the root. Obviously, if you wash someone in the first week, the oil might come out, but you're moisturized and you're washed and you're clean. So yeah, but always I feel moisturizing. That's where people go wrong is the misconception of having to overly moisturize. An overly buildup of product will also make your locks dingy, dry, and like they look. I've had clients that I squeeze the oil off their locks, and it turns them really, really dry. So moisturizing, I say, is just after your wash, probably 2 weeks after you can apply some oil. Distilled water has no alkaline, no sugar, so it's not going to leave any buildup. You can spray distilled water every day. But as far as oil, within the first 2 weeks. After that, if you want to redo it, wash your hair again. That's pretty much as far as like the moisturizing goes. Again, people that take medication sometimes lose their hair. People with lupus, people with any kind of, it just makes your hair loose. Also, us women, we go through hormones, we go through life changes, so we start to thin out really bad. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's your locks. If your locks are heavy, more than likely they're dirty. Locks should not be heavy. I have clients with locks up to here, and they're as light as cotton because they're clean. They're super clean. So heavy locks equals dirty locks, honestly. That just means they're super heavy. Sometimes you can get a trim. The ends of your locks are the oldest parts of your locks. So sometimes people tell me, oh, it's sliding off. We lose about 100 strands of hair a day, and it still happens with locks. A lot of times you'll see on the shaft of your locks, you have little, from your pores, the follicle. You can see the little white dots, and people think it's lint or it's dirty. It's just the breakage that naturally happens. With loose hair, we find it in the shower, we find it in our bed. With locks, it's stuck in there. So sometimes that hair travels through your lock, and with time it does slip off. And people are like, my ends are falling off, and they'll bring me a piece this big and be like, can you reattach it? Hell no. Throw it away. It's just, it's old hair. It's basically not serving a purpose. It's just like there for length, but it's technically dead hair. So you just gotta kind of trim it up if you want to, or just leave it there. It'll make its way out. But it's basically breakage. The little dots is just your follicle. But yes, lint has no solution. So if you don't cover it and your locks are full of lint, there's detox won't push out. You have to color it. That's the only solution. And color is gonna just make it worse because the lint is so built up inside the lock. That color's not gonna, the lock is not gonna tolerate the color because the lint has already blended in with the hair, so it'll just kind of like, and then you get air pockets, loose, scrunchies are a big problem too. You put cuts or dents on your locks. Overly styles, I tell people they're meant for special occasions, but if you do get them as protective styles, I always tell people pull them out within the 3 weeks tops, because it's not, you cause tension, you cause dents, your locks start to shape in the form of your style, and then they start to stay that way. Air drying is another problem. If you air dry, your locks will go flat because wet hair has memory. If you go to sleep with your hair wet, it's flat, you get up, it dries flat. And that's how they start to stay flat. You either need to start shaping them. It's not gonna happen immediately, but after repetitively going to sleep with your hair wet, it is gonna start going flat, it's gonna stink, it's gonna attract hair, dirt, lint. So air drying is a big no. So I always tell my clients, just buy a little hat, put the little dryer, even if it's 20 minutes, dry them up, not soaking wet, you know. Don't go to sleep with them like that, that's when you start to get odor. A lot of times they tell me, well, can you crochet them or fix my weak spots? If your hair is fully damaged, the needle requires hair to pull. If there's breakage, there's nothing to pull. It's literally gonna disintegrate the lock. So colored hair, if it's already chemically damaged, there's no solution for it. If it's overly lint, the lint starts to pop. And you can literally see, if I put the needle, it starts to like powder. So yeah, sometimes color, lint, stuff like that, you can't fix them. So I tell clients, don't take advantage of the fact that people can crochet it back. It's not always the case. It's more than likely to weak. It's not it probably has no elasticity. So yeah, those are some of the things that
Okay, so while you were talking, one thing stuck with me, and I was wondering, question. How often would you recommend to wash the dogs in between
yeah, if you're religious about your appointments and you come every 6 to 8 weeks, if you have a good pattern of wrapping, if you have a good pattern of drying your locks, you can wash them as soon as you want, because I should never tell you not to wash your locks. A lot of people tell me, oh, do locks stink? And that's a stereotype. Are they nasty? Are they, you know, and I'm like, no. I feel like people with dirty, nasty locks carry themselves that way in general.
Mm-hmm.
More like people with their bad things or something, you know. I feel like if you're dirty with your hair, you're dirty with your body.
I've heard some people or clients will come to my chair and they'll say, yeah, like the last stylist told me not to wash my hair until I came back.
And you should run for the hills too if they tell you not to wash your hair.
Don't wash
the only
your hair.
time you don't wash them is like your starters, but even for starters, we bring them in at 4 weeks. That way we can get to it really fast. But you're supposed to wash your locks. You're supposed to keep them clean. But because if you interlock or crochet, you can wash right away because it has more retention. Yes, ma'am.
So how often should you relock? Because my sister, she gets one retwist a year.
So I tell people all the time, no coil, no lock. That's basically just loose hair carrying a heavy lock, and eventually the hair is going to start snapping, and that's how people thin out, because they don't get retwist. If there's no coil, there's no buddy. It's basically loose hair carrying a heavy lock, and eventually you start to thin out. So retwisting, I always tell people never sooner than 4 weeks, never more than 3 months. I do know people, however, that have a very nice head of hair that's super strong, and I've seen them go get 2 retwists a year. If you can afford to do that, it's based on the texture of your hair, how dense you are, how full you are. Those people can afford to do it, but most people overly manipulate it as well. Some people twist to the other side. If you twist to the same side, it's best to keep it to the same side because you're going to cause traction. It's not going to be like immediate, but once the follicle is used to going a certain way, once you start to manipulate it a different side, it's going to start eventually, unless you stay that route, like for a while. Yes, sir.
Okay, you made a great statement. How do you know which side to turn it to?
Wherever you started. Wherever you started and wherever you've been going or maintaining.
Well, what if you didn't do them? If you didn't start them, how do you know?
How do I know?
Anybody, like if I just,
I'm just doing the back of my head.
yeah, and I just did something, I'm a new, and the first time sitting, the first time sitting in my chair, and I've never done you before, but you got locks. How do I know if I'm just looking? How do I know?
So if somebody comes in, I typically always twist to the right. It's kind of hard to know. I always twist to the right.
Most times.
Yeah, most of us been to the right. I'm not sure why we just all been to the right.
Right-handed.
Yeah, but there is stylists that are, you know, and that's more of a technique and quality if you are able to twist to the left. But I always say, if you don't know, that's fine. Just start it off and keep it that way. You know, there's no way of knowing how it started as long as it's not falling off and you've been consistent. It's okay to switch it, but preferably sticking to the same stylist is also military. I know it's really hard, and that's where we see a lot of issues. I started doing my husband's locks because he was in the oil field, and I didn't know much about hair, black hair, and I just knew it wasn't looking right. You know, not knowing anything, I would always tell him, how come it looks like that? You're thinning out. That's how I started doing it, just dabbling and trying. I never had intentions of doing it professionally, but then COVID happened and we all lost our jobs, and I was coming here out of home just to make money, and then thank God it just turned into something bigger. But it was over manipulation. Stylists that don't know how to crochet will cut your locks off. My husband had locks for 15 years and they were up to here. I have clients that have locks for 4 years and have their locks up to there, and they were just cutting them off. They were interlocking him. Interlock is not for everybody. Sister locks, yes. Just because for the purpose of retention, interlock is not an option just because it's going to last longer. If you think about it, a lot of stylists will not care what that hook is doing at your root, and it's going to yank hairs. Right. So imagine doing that for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, the thinning that you're going to go through. A lot of people with sister locks, if you go to a professional, they have a routine. You know, they do their 4 directionals, they interlock, and you have to close that Y. A lot of people don't know how to close the Y, and that's just when they interlock, they leave that little hole, and as it grows, it turns into an air pocket, and there's a hole in your locks. So interlocking is not like the best thing to do. Crochet, if you ever have to pick for retention, I'd say crochet. Crochet is natural, doesn't require any product, no gel. Also, a lot of product, a lot of people will put the gel on the scalp.
Real quick, well, because you said crochet, just
Yeah.
for those that don't know what crochet is.
That would be the needle. It's so there's 2 crochet needles. This is a crochet hook, and this is a crochet needle. The crochet hook is what you do sister locks with, or interlocking. This is what you crochet with, and it's literally the same concept of crocheting a scarf or anything, but you do it with hair. So people that don't have elasticity or the hair to pull, you can't crochet. Your hair is my material, so I have to have healthy hair to crochet and sew. And I could literally reshape a whole lock and make it look like nothing ever happened if your hair is healthy. So taking the chances of damaging your hair just because crochet is an option is not always going to be the option if you haven't been taking care of your locks. This one I use for repairs on people that have like 5 inches of new growth. If it's for the intentions of repairing, this is okay.
Boy, I got a mountain
Yes,
of my...
ma'am. No.
Oh, yes, I did. I was wondering, so like kiddos that have like softer texture hair, sometimes maybe like they're interracial and they have like soft curly hair, do you suggest them just having starter locks or Insta locks?
So
Like
my
Insta
daughter
locks?
is mixed, and I started her hair at 6 years old. She literally has straight hair at the root. I chose to go coil. It takes way longer to lock, but she's fully locked. They do bud differently, and some people mind the little buds. Some people will tell me, hey, my locks have these little loops. Can you crochet them in? I can, but guess what's gonna happen with the new growth? It's gonna keep doing it because that's the looser the curl. What's her name that was married to Lenny Kravitz? You've seen her locks. She has like a lot of those little buds.
Like boho.
Yeah, like boho, and that's because she has a wider curl. Just like curly ends, people tell me all the time, can you comb out my ends? I want curly ends. If you don't have the texture for it, they're not gonna stay. Mother Nature's gonna take its course, and you're gonna go from here, and I can send you with a really nice curl, but Mother Nature will be like, no, it's gonna mat back up and tuck back in. Yeah. So my daughter has really curly ends, but her curl is so wide, it won't bud. So in order to bud, your coil has to be super tight so it can pop. So that is an option. If they come in here and their hair is super straight, it's not locking, crochet is always the best way to start. I was gonna crochet my daughter because she's so young, I feel like it's a lot of tension. Or painful, because it's really not tense. If you do it right, it shouldn't hurt. It should last long, and it's instant, so you can wash them. Some people with coarse hair that can naturally lock go for instant because they work out a lot, they swim, so crochet is the option for them. This one's my least favorite, is interlock. But for sister locks, it's necessary because that's the look. They're plaits and they're supposed to look like small braids. But you could do micros. I've had clients come in and switch from interlock to coil because the interlock is making them thinner. And you can switch. And the only difference is it matures differently. I have clients was Candace's daughter, switched from micros to coil, and they're fluffier, they're chunkier, they're bigger. And then the bottom part, she has, you can still see the little braid from the interlocking. Yeah, but it's been way healthier. So this one is only an option for me for sister-in-law for repair. So if a client went like 7 months without a retwist, I use this one, but I'll still crochet over the top so that it doesn't look like a plait. But yeah, instant locking for straight hair is always the best option, unless you're patient. Yes, sir.
What do you got?
What's the answer to this, sir? What's the answer?
No, I'm asking really for kids. Like, is there a recommended style for like she's 11? You know, you're thinking maintenance and school and gym and all that. What is the recommended like startup style? I mean, she doesn't. I think she's watching social media.
She wants to do. I told her she should get locks because her hair is beautiful for locks. She's like, I don't know if I like them. So what the heck?
You gotta see somebody that look like you wouldn't. Oh, you see somebody that look like you wouldn't get a family member? That's how I was. I gotta see somebody with.
So braids is always the best option. I always feel like keeping your hair in the most natural state is like the best thing. Locks for me was the best thing. My daughter gets them and goes, and she loves them. She really is about her bonnet. She loves them. I always make them really cute styles. But she's 8. I started her locks at 6. And her locks are really long now. We started just naturally. And she had very long hair when I started, so I did a coil and a 2-strand. And she was locking by like the 5th month, and she has very straight hair. But I feel like I always feel like natural is better, but braids for me, it always keeps me tucked in. It helps my hair grow. But if I could lock my hair, I would lock my hair. Just don't want to crochet my own hair. So yeah, I feel like for her, I don't know, you're more into like natural loose hair. I feel like braids would be better for her, I think.
Yeah, you know what? And a lot of people are, because I do my sister's hair sometimes, but I've noticed my past couple of clients that cornrows last a lot longer than knotless, box braids, all that, just because, you know, you're braiding the hair on top of the hair, whereas like for knotless, I mean, this is like everyone has knotless, but you know, like the roots can grow out really quick, and then your hair also sticks out the braids a lot too. But that's why I feel like Bill holds a lot in his brilliant style now, because you can kind of braid through it. It doesn't matter what hair's sticking out because the bow covers it. But to me, it's not really expensive style anymore because your ends are out, you know. But I've noticed that cornrows, as you can see, they're slick. You don't have a whole lot of hair sticking out, and you can keep them for a really long time.
Yeah, I usually only when I can keep. Yeah, I usually take if I have box braids, I take those out like in 2 to 3 weeks just because I can spare. But obviously, coarser is way stronger. And I do feel like braids is always the best option. Either box braids or like stitch braids or something like cornrows last way longer. But yeah,
when it comes to back when first bullet point cleansing techniques, what's like the best shampoos to use? I know not all shampoos good for.
Yes. So I always tell the girls you can use any brand depending on your budget. You can go really expensive or you can go really cheap as long as it's black-friendly products. No parabens, no sulfates, no mineral oils, no colorants. Miss Amani was telling me she went through her cabinet and she threw away all her products because they all had sulfate. And sulfate is not necessarily like super bad if you don't react to it. But to not take the chance, it's better to not use sulfate because you will dry out, especially with locks. Steam is very important. The castle is really dry, the lead in our water. Drinking water is super important. I can always tell when people drink water just based on how their scalp looks. If you start to notice, I start to notice my clients are thinning out if they have like bumpiness on their scalp, if they have discoloration. The pores are really wide open, or it's like a super smooth surface and there's no pinch. Also, people have really, we call them shifting scalps, where it's super meaty. And if I do a part and then I lift it, it's all crooked, I'm like, oh man, I have to go over it again. Those scalps tend to produce a lot of yeast. If hormones, not drinking water, if you have any medical conditions, if you've already been told you have a scalp condition, like seborrhea dermatitis, I believe it's called, people bring us their shampoos, they bring us their own product. And another thing, any stylist that is not willing to use your own products, they're just not. You should be able to use clients' products as long as they're healthy for them. My clients will bring me their own gel sometimes, their own shampoos, their own. Oh, Miss Faye here, she brings all her own products. And actually, she is the best example because it's her dermatitis, right? Yeah. And her scalp is cleaner than some scalps that have no conditions because she takes care of it. She uses her products, her phones. seborrheic dermatitis, and it's like really heavy buildup or like it causes a lot of dandruff, itching, and her scalp is super clean.
Yeah,
she never. Yeah, she keeps and she brings me her own products too, her own rose water from everything. I don't use edge control on her, and we're able to control it. People that have a lot of dandruff, I feel like the best option is to wash water. There's not a product that's going to take it away unless you have a condition. Then you need to go. We are locticians, so we're in the health of your hair. Dermatologists are in the health of your scalp. So if I notice something that I know I can't help them with, I'm like, you know what, I think you should check out your dermatologist, get a shampoo. I have clients that get steroid shots for their alopecia, and their hair comes back in really well as well. So paying attention to those things is very important, but it's up to your stylist because sometimes you can't see the top of your hair. You don't know what's going on, especially if you're religiously coming to your appointments. It's your stylist's responsibility to tell you, hey, you have breakage, you have air pockets, you have loose spots, your scalp is looking weird, you're thinning out. Scratching is the biggest thing. Sometimes we'll do partings and the part is not clean, and that's because scratching, people will go ham on their hair, and I'm one of them. Yeah, so it causes breakage because you're ripping the hair out your lock, so now that hair comes out the lock and it's sticking out. And we have to wait till that hair grows to reintroduce it back into the lock. In the meantime, that lock is growing skinny until we're able to put the hair back in. So you'll notice people's shampoo like skinny, fat, skinny, and it's breakage.
I had a client, I started his curls wrong. He tries to keep them as clean as he can. Sometimes it's a little buildup when I do it, but I do notice when it comes to the middle of his head, like all this real clean retwist, but right here,
yeah, and it makes it look like you didn't clean it. Yeah,
and it's still short, but I want to help him grow his box thicker so that the hair can go back and he'll get to the retwist. But I've noticed a lot of breakage too.
So I always tell scratching is the main one. And a lot of people will say they don't scratch, but we can tell right away when it's scratching. With a certain spot, steam is your best friend. If you can buy a steamer for home, I just buy a regular facial steamer. That's what we use for the hair. Depositing steam is super, super good because, like I said, the weather here, the water here is terrible. So using steam on your hair, even for loose natural hair, is the best thing. Steam, depositing your products while you're steaming, making sure you're getting your detox, your washes, and visiting your loctician and locking. But if it's severe, I do have a client that his hair just won't retain, and it took us like a year before they held on. In the meantime, they kept breaking off, and it was super soft. It was part scratching, and then he did end up having a condition when he went to the dermatologist. Yeah, he did. Because it was just falling off. I would retwist it, and it would come off on the comb, like the whole lock. And I don't know what was going on. Yeah, his pores were like super open, so the hair was just sliding out. Yeah, and then he was scratching that part, so it was further going bald. Wigs. People wear wigs over their locks, and that's okay, but like just like with box braids, I tell people, doing box braids over your locks, more than likely if you abuse it and you last 2-3 weeks like you would usually do on loose hair with locks, you're potentially risking your locks if you're doing it for too long. Doing box braids over your locks is going to create buildup because braiders are in the business of making their braids look good, so more than likely they don't care what's underneath. They're going to tuck your lock and twist it and stretch it, and by the time you bring off, I just did 9 repairs on someone with box braids. Yes, ma'am.
Unpopular question. Lock extensions. Have you talked about those yet?
No, not yet. Yeah. So lock extensions, honestly, are for those that don't want to wait. And more than likely, it's a lot of people that don't have the length. They don't feel comfortable how they look with the little Tic Tacs. I call them the little Tic Tacs because they're so little. But the money's so cute. And I feel like those people, you can do lock extensions. I am able to crochet literally this big of hair. I'll crochet a lock to your eyelashes. I'm certified. Extensions are an option for anybody. You can even add them once your locks have already been matured. I've had clients that have had their locks for 3 years and they're just like, you know what, I don't want lock extensions. But it also shocks the scalp if you start off with a lot of them. I've had clients that come with little peanut heads. They're like, I want 130 locks. And I always tell people, picking the right size for your locks is very important. If you don't have the texture for a super fat lock, I can't give you that. A lot of times, I tell people a pound of nails and a pound of cotton is still a pound. But people walk in here, let's just say 2 people walk in with the same afro and it looks huge. Some afros I can barely hold. Other afros have a little ponytail. Yeah. But they look the same looking at them. So I can't give this person 130 locks. More than likely it's not going to retain it, it's not going to stay, and they can't be thicker. So they're like, well, make the square bigger. I had a lady come in, they made them too small. I said they made the right choice. They did it based on your texture, how much hair you have, your density. And then she wanted me to marry them. So I had to show her in the mirror because her husband was the one pressuring her for that. She liked them small. He was like, no, you need to get them thicker. You can make a square this big. Whatever hair comes out of those pores, it's whatever hair comes out of those pores. The square can be this big and the lock still will be this tiny. It don't matter how big the square is, how much I marry them. People are like, just marry them because I want them thicker. And now you only have like 30 locks with big ass squares. So yeah.
Looking like Cynthia Angelica's down.
Or also, sometimes they just fall out because maybe they're not done right.
Yeah, so if they're slipping out, that's bad technique. My work is guaranteed. As soon as I install lock extensions, my work is guaranteed for 6 months. Any repairs, any slippage. If they're sliding out, there's no technique. They just did a bad job. But that's why it's important to pick the right size, the right amount, and the right length. If you go from having hair this long and then you shock it with 12 and a bust down of locks of 130, your scalp is like, wait a minute, that wasn't there yesterday. So now your hair is struggling to carry that weight because it didn't give it time to adapt to that weight. So when my clients start, if I notice it's really strong, I'll let them go for like a 12 inch. If it's not strong enough, I always start at 6 inches, which is like about right here. And I like to start them when it's short. Now when their hair is long and already locked, it can carry the lock as long as you have a nice. Now when they do start, a lot of people make the mistake, they don't match the hair right. When your coil starts, that's not your final form, that's your initial form. It's still gonna bud and swell, it's gonna compress, it's gonna do all its things. So I tell people, pick a lock extension of, when you do the coil, you have to match the lock extension. It's gonna be slightly bigger because the root is gonna start matching the shaft. So yeah, picking the right size is basically.
So I have a client, she wants she wants to start her locks, but she also wants to use super long. She's not sure how she feels about the crochet method. What do you think about extending her locks to 2 strands?
With like so we have clients that have come here and then they do the temporary, they add the temporary 2 strands and stuff like that. But again, that synthetic hair is gonna cut through their natural hair. If it's human hair, if it's applied correctly, like if it's 2-stranded, unless it's crocheted, it's not gonna stay.
Gotcha.
So you can still strand it, but Alicia just did a repair on about 115 locks. She came in because she went somewhere else. They did micros, they added the loose natural hair. So can you see her, that hair that's coming out to add the, and they did them on her, but when she got here, she washed them and they all slid out. Because they're not crocheted. No crochet, it's not gonna stay. And then by the time it mats and locks, you have to wait time, but by then people are showering, people are swimming, they're gonna slide off. No
So if
crochet.
she were to do that, the best thing would be to
Crochet. She can do it temporarily, and I've seen people that end up matting and locking, but yeah, it's best to crochet if she wants it to be permanent. Yes, ma'am.
Also, just want to double back on like the proper techniques.
Oh, yeah.
No, sorry, no.
Bring us back, girl.
That hadn't been mentioned was like, how often would you recommend like detoxes on hair?
Detox is once a year, because apple cider and we use apple cider, lime juice, and baking soda. We use the lime juice because it balances the pH because the vinegar smells really bad, and obviously the baking soda makes it foam up and push everything out. Those, if you have a very busy lifestyle, twice a year. If not, twice a year. If not, once a year. If you're not religious about your maintenance, like every 6 to 8 weeks or every 12 weeks, I would recommend getting 2 of them a year. As far as cleansing, we use, I was saying the budget-wise, the girls can use really expensive like Design Essentials, Paul Mitchell, all those really expensive ones. And we also have Aveeno just came out with an apple cider vinegar one, and it's amazing. We love it. So our first wash, we use Castile soap. Castile soap is going to clarify your scalp. It's going to break down all the dirt, but it does strip your hair and it makes it dry. So then your second wash should be to deposit moisture. You can pick any shampoo as long as it's friendly. And conditioner. You are able to use conditioner if you know for a fact you're going to sit there and rinse it out properly. Anything that touches your locks lives there forever. I was telling the girls a lot of, I didn't know, but my husband told me black people don't get lice. Black people with locks do get lice. We've had 3 people cut their locks off due to lice. Because if it crawls in there, it's in it. It's a knot. There's no way that animal or bug or whatever is going to make it out. So if you put whatever's going to kill it, and you know for a fact they're dead, I still wouldn't be comfortable knowing there's dead animals in my locks. So you're going to have to shave them off. So you can catch lice with locks. If you're laid up in the wrong place, if you're wearing you were like Motel 6.
Next person next to you, the energy bag.
I try to keep conditioner, like put it in there, run it through your hair, but don't leave it on there too long because it does clog your pores and it is gonna fall into your lock. And if you don't squeeze it out, like she said, washing hair, locks, I don't ever do this. I, like she said, squeeze, suck them up, like just squeeze, and then you can scrub your scalp. I don't care how locked you're, just scrub the hell out of your scalp. You're free to do that, they're not going anywhere. But yeah, do your clarifying wash, your first one, and your second one, deposit moisture. Then you can do your conditioner, but you need to make sure it's thoroughly rinsed out because it's a conditioner, so it's a detangler. Locks are knots, so it defeats the purpose. If it stays in there, just like color, it's going to continue to work its magic. And then you notice your locks are loose, they detangle. So after you do your conditioner, rinse them out. If you get out the shower, put your oils on your scalp while the pores are open, spray your rose water, and then dry your hair. Then you can style. Obviously we retwist before we style, but at home, if you're not going to do a retwist and it's just a wash, apply your product right after the wash, your rose water, and then dry your hair, and then you're good to go. But I would say you can wash your hair, like I said, if you're coiling and you don't care if your coil washes off, you can wash as soon as you leave. But I mean, it defeats the purpose of your money is going down the drain.
So I'm saying like for like at-home detoxes, so I know like a lot of products, I know if you go to like Sally's or wherever, like you have certain access to products because you're on like a licensed cosmetologist. So like what would you recommend for people who want to do like this at-home that?
So honestly, the natural products, just apple cider and lime, yeah, that's the only thing that's gonna foam it up with the baking soda. Yeah, lemon, lime, whichever one. Even just the apple cider, you don't even have to do the lemon or lime, and then do your wash right after. Another thing, there's a misconception that you have to soak in that water for like 45 minutes. You're laying in dirty water. Yeah, you're laying on dirty water, so you're not detoxing. The function of detox happens when the apple cider touches the baking soda and it foams up. You're detoxed. You don't have to lay there and let them soak. You can, but then you're just soaking in dirty water. So it's best to just, you do your detox, you put your baking soda, open up your root because you have a coil. Open up your root. Open it up. Yeah, just open up the root where your new growth is at, even if it undoes the coil. Just open it because that's where all the chemical, the gunk is at. Open it up and then sprinkle all the baking soda until they're fully white. And this is while your hair's still dry. Then you can put the apple cider vinegar. Once it foams up and does its thing, it's been detoxed. You don't have to soak and anything like that. You can just do the baking soda and the apple cider, and then you're detoxed. And you can do your wash and stuff like that. But yeah.
I would say, even when you're washing your hair, you don't have locks. I learned that when you rub the shampoo in your hands first and get a good suds, that it'll like smooth out throughout your hair a lot easier than just pouring it in, rubbing it a little bit, and going throughout your hair. I know sometimes if you like wash your hair, when you wash, you have to keep adding throughout your hair because it's not really spreading. Rubbing it in your hands first to activate the suds, which will help. And also when you're rubbing your scalp, like she said, like that coil, sometimes people forget that their hair is coiled and they wash their hair, but they don't get in the lock. Like, you know, you can see the parts, like the parts that you see might clean, but if you open up that lock, there's usually a lot of buildup. And that's what I've noticed with my clients. So you have to make sure that you're paying attention to detail, that you're intentional on your wash, so that you're not continuing to get that buildup in there. And then that squeezing part is really important. Like, make sure you're squeezing till that water's clear.
Yeah, your suds, you can see the color of your suds too. Because a lot of times, and then like I said, scrub your scalp. Don't be scared to get in there as long as you don't scratch it and give yourself scabs. Because sometimes I've washed hair and then I see blood on the suds. That's because they had a scab. And I'm going to town on their hair. I be washing, so they have scabs. And sometimes
like
they
your
bring off.
fingertips, but not your nails.
Yeah, just your fingertips. Even if you want to wear gloves, you kind of just go hard. That way your nails aren't touching. Because a lot of times, it happens. A lot of people have really, really coarse hair and we can't get every corner. So when we get to the chair and then we part and we're like, oh God, I forgot a spot. And it's like peanut butter because it gets wet. So think about like buildup getting wet and it stays there. If you don't return that clamp back to the bowl, you could be responsible. Just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna just clean it with a towel and they will know. But guess who's gonna know? Your locks are gonna know because when you part it and then you brush that comb, you're bringing that gunk back. Because the comb is touching your scalp, you're gonna touch the gunk and then pull it back into the lock. So yeah, I've cut locks off, and most of my clients, if I cut them off, it's very minimal white inside their locks. That's because we've been keeping them clean, we've been steaming them. Steam helps you push out a lot of that hair. So steam you could use as many times as you want during the month. Even if you're not getting a retwist, just put the steamer on and sit there and let it hit your scalp. Steam is very, very, very important for hair. But yeah, washing it and making sure that it's super clean is going to be your best friend. That's the best way to keep them light, keep them clean. As far as like doing retwists on your own, I feel like you don't need a necessary method. You can use palm roll. We use locksmithing here, which is a method of just, we use one hand and it's basically a pull, push kind of technique. We like to do wrapping here. So if they have a lot of hair out, use that hair and wrap it around your lock. You don't have to have perfect parts. As long as you're separating them, your parts don't have to be perfect. As long as, it's important to keep them even. That's why we clean parts. I'm really anal about it just because I have OCD, but you don't have to be anal about your parts being clean. Yeah, so, but you don't have to be if you're doing it on your own, because it's hard. But if you part them, you clean your parts, grab that lock, and
three-way mirror.
feel the hair. The first thing you're gonna do is you can twist it. You don't even have to use, you can use palm roll because it's gonna help you. Palm roll tends to kind of come back out. Locksmithing,
Just rock.
yeah, if you wrap
around
it,
the hair with pommeling, but if you're wrapping it, the hair around, it kind of
holds it in place a little bit.
Because it's a lot tighter than just palm rolling. You're kind of just molding the lock.
Yeah, and if you don't even want to do palm rolling because it's just hard, as long as you do a nice twist with your hands and put the clips there, clipping is also very important. It helps you shape your client's locks. If you put clips on those buds and they go under the dryer, again, just like with wet hair, it's going to dry in the way that you put it under the dryer. So if you put clips and you go under the dryer, it's going to kind of suck in and like condense those buds. And you can tell who's been shaping people's locks. They'll come here, and just on the shaft of the lock, you can see people's technique. You can see who's been palm rolling, who's been locksmithing, who's been interlocking. I could tell a story. Yeah, so when you do them, if you're not trying to be super anal about technique, just twist it with your hands to the right. Now I can see where you guys go to the other side. Yeah, it's easier. But if you do it to the right, just put clips. Do the next part, twist it, put your clips. Yes, ma'am.
Last question for me, y'all. Lock jewelry. If any of y'all have seen me in the beginning, I had like over 400 pieces of lock jewelry in my hair. I mean, the whole head, it was beautiful. And I ended up having to separate my locks all the way up my head, like to the scalp. It totally ruined it. Do you have any suggestion for lock jewelry?
So lock jewelry, again, just like styles, temporary. Wear them whenever you feel like wearing them. You can overly populate it if you can, if you have intentions of taking them off when you're gonna wash them. Only because they'll rust, they'll get heavy, and a lot of times that little metal will start getting into your lungs. So that's the only thing. You can wear it as long as it's not super heavy, overpopulated. And if you do wear it, try to bring it off when you wash your hair. The only time I wash hair with jewelry is when they have little shells at the bottom, because some people just have them sewn in. Those don't cause too much attention as long as they don't have like 100 of them in their hair. But
They
if
don't.
you do, taking them off is like,
I had one in front of mine, and that's why my this
one
one the smallest one in my
They
head.
will cost any weight, additional weight that you add to your
Put
hair.
them down
Just
seashell out.
like wigs, cost braids. Yes, sir.
So like aftercare, for example, for the athletes that use swimming, use split, what would you recommend if they don't have access to a shower right there and then to take care of themselves? Because obviously, like the pools, for example, they have chlorine. Chlorine have any effect on the locks?
Yes. Chlorine is bad for locks. Salt water is better, but chlorine is really bad too. But as long as it's not, you don't even, I told last time because the client was like, I go swimming. I was like, as long as you can get to some water, even if you don't have shampoo, just rinse it. Rinse it, rinse it. Even if you don't have shampoo, just try to take the bleach out to kind of
Throw
wash
that
it
water.
out. If you don't have
Water
access
bottle.
to water right then and there, you'll be okay. As long as once you get home, you'll be fine. You'll follow the same routine.
Get
Even
that
if you don't
water
use
bottle.
shampoo, preferably use shampoo, but if you don't, you can still use the water until you feel like the chlorine is out. But yeah, chlorine is bad, but it's not terrible. Actually, it helps people lock really fast when it goes swimming and stuff. I've noticed their hair is way thicker. Yeah, water is miraculous for locks. Like, it's such a misconception when people say don't wash them. Water's your best friend. Please
I
wash
think
them.
in between hairstyles, if you're feeling like it's getting a little dirty, I mean, spray it with water. As we know, it's a good moisturizer.
Yeah.
So this diluter. As long as you're not wanting to wash it quite yet, that's good. And also, I just wanted to just say something really quickly. She was talking about retwisting to your party. If you're feeling a tug, if it doesn't kind of slide out, do not pull it. Don't snatch any hair from your lock.
Yeah, lock popping will make you thin out as well. So if you are able to separate it and it slides out like she said, that's the best way. Popping them, you're better off
Breaking it.
cutting it as opposed to like ripping it. And if you do rip it or cut it, it should be from the longest part from the lock that it's attached to. But if you don't, because I know self-maintenance is probably really hard, but if you do self-maintenance at home, as long as you're twisting, clipping, and going under the dryer, that's the best is your wash, your retwist, and your dryer. Yeah, clipping and wrapping. If you have a lot of hair, just wrap it and then just put the clips on there. You can do your palm roll. Technique is not super important as long as you're pulling.
It's just maintenance. until you get your
And
hair
pulling
out.
happens within the first 2 to 3 weeks. Some people can bud in a week, depending on their texture. But 2 to 3 weeks, you start budding. And budding is just when the middle of your lock pops. That's a knot. An accumulation of buds is what makes a lock. So once you are budding, you can wash and have some retention. I tell people if you're too scared of scrubbing, put a little fishnet on there and kind of scrub over the fishnet. That helps you not be so scared of like undoing your coil.
So like, for example, using the fishnet, she has burr rolls. And she's like, I don't know if I would wash my hair with burr rolls. I mean, of course, dry is really important, but fishnet over the scalp, wash it out like that, or a little toothbrush or too. But that's, it's not just locks, you know, if you're wanting to get your hair corn rolled, and you have box braids. Fishnets, honestly, because it helps preserve your actual hairstyle while also washing it. So she can wash her hair too, and it'll look just as good. I've seen someone do a video on Instagram. She literally showed herself, she just completed the hairstyle and started washing her hair and showed how it looked the exact same right after. But I just wanted to give a little information about hair porosity. Anybody? No, I just have If you have questions, could you keep them?
I just had a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
What are your recommendations on cold washing in between your class?
Cold washing?
Cold washing is like conditioner shampoo mix.
Oh, so the same as long as you rinse it out, like 2-in-1? Yeah, you can, as long as it's rinsed out correctly. I tell people all the time, you can use conditioner. You can definitely, another thing, I feel like my husband used to work in the oil and his locks used to come smell like a lot of oil, and obviously the oil will get on his hair. I call witch hazel and sea breeze dry shampoo for locks. And this right here, if you grab I tell people all the time, you're itching like a lot, grab yourself a towel and soak in hot water. Bring it out and then soak it with this and put it over your head. Do a white towel so you can see it and kind of go over your parts. It's gonna pull out, just like it does with your face, it's gonna pull out the dirt. And then squeeze it through your locks and it pulls out the smell from your locks. It lifts up the dirt from your scalp and then it can redeposit products. That's the only time you can redeposit without washing is if you at least do a dry shampoo wash. I'm not sure if they have actual dry shampoo for locks, but I think yeah. So and then the steam from the towel, if you put the towel over your head, the steam from the towel is gonna lift that dirt, and then you can use it. I tell people you could also use witch hazel with a Q-tip. Put witch hazel on the Q-tip, go through your parts. Just be careful because the Q-tip sometimes release some of that lint, the little furry thing. So just be careful with that, or you could use a pad, something that doesn't release so much. Witch hazel helps a lot. I tell clients use a Q-tip, go through your parts with some witch hazel, then you can redeposit. But depositing moisture on hair that's already been washed and moisturized, again, it's like leaving the gym and putting lotion on. That's the best way I can explain it. You can't breathe. Yes, sir.
You shape your locks into a mullet.
Into a mullet? Yeah. I have a girl that has a mullet. She's cut it into a mullet. She's cut it into a bob. She has bangs. She cuts them. But you have to cut your locks. If you ever do cut your locks, you have to go in a diagonal form. Because if you do it straight like that, you're going to hold it.
It's like a cigar.
Yeah, so just kind of cut
Like
them
a cigar. You cut it.
at an angle, and then they'll have some
It'll open
retention.
up. You don't cut it right.
Alright, so like, what if you had your hair without a fire?
Pulled out in a fight.
Can you get it put back in?
So this is the thing. If they pulled it off, so this is actually, I have like a bunch of clients, the girlfriends have pulled their hair out, they
Yeah, we like.
So, I would need you to not look at me. So we have some clients that have been in fights in here before. But some people will snatch them, and if they rip from the middle, we can crochet them again. If you have healthy locks, I can recrochet them. She has a client called Zion. His girlfriend pulls out his locks every other fucking day.
Hell.
And he'd be like, like mommy, can you put them back on? And then he sends me a picture. And
Hey, send me his number. He need to talk to him.
You need at least
My client, she didn't get in a fight, but she was like, you got the dorms, her lock got attached to
Damn.
the wiring at the bottom of the bed, and she went like this, and her lock came out, and she was like, girl, and she called me, and I was like, well, let it just grow out a little bit, keep massaging it, massage that area, do your regular routine, and then when that grows back, and I feel like it's thick enough, then I'll crochet that. Yeah. She still has it right in.
Yeah, you can crochet it back as long as you have at least an inch or two at your root, because other than that, if it came off the bones, that we
That been gone. That been gone. You bald.
We cannot do that shit. You have to get at least 2 inches of growth to recrochet it. If it fell from like the middle, and it wasn't damaged, colored, overpopulated with dandruff and all that stuff, we can recrochet it back. All we gotta do is comb out both ends, recrochet like nothing happened. If it's from here, you need to wait for your hair to grow and then we put them back on as long as the lock is healthy to crochet back on. But yeah, it happens. But however, it could be sometimes where they pull it bad enough and they damage your follicle. And I have seen it where it will not grow back out. So it just depends how bad it depends who wants.
We could like just say, I want to cut this like this. Take that please.
Yes, I do that all the time. Clients will have like mohawks on their cuts and stuff like that, and then they hear like, you're right, I don't have half a head. So I've had it where clients have half a head, or they have like a mohawk, and they decide to have a full head now. They grow out at least 2 inches. You can either buy lock extensions, or I've had clients that have long enough, and I cut it in half, and then I detox those locks, comb them out. My daughter does all the prepping for my lock extensions. So she, which by the way, my daughter does all the comb outs and color for locks here at the shop. This is Mia. And you can attach them. You can cut half of your locks, and then we just reattach them, as long as your stylist picks more of a symmetrical pattern to match the top. So yeah, we do it all the time. We cut half of their locks. We use that because extensions are really expensive, especially 100% natural hair. Yes.
Any other questions? Cool. I just wanted to go over a little bit of research. I also have a little blogging article on my my website. It's about hair porosity. That's like super important. Not a lot of people know in depth about hair porosity. So I will be reading from this, okay? So hair porosity is basically about how much your hair can hold and retain moisture. So you can think about it like a door. If the door is closed, it's going to be hard for that water to get in. But if it's open, it's easy for the water to get in, but it also can be very fast to flow. So you have low porosity hair. That's when your hair is super tight, like the closed door. So water, if you ever notice, for those with low porosity, if the water just sits on your hair, that's low porosity hair. Or product sits on top instead of soaking in, or you get buildup really easy, that's the low porosity. So I've told some of my clients when they have that low porosity hair, and it's kind of hard for their hair to retain that moisture, that like she was saying, it's really important to use water or steam, because they'll open up the pores and they'll allow that moisture to get in. So if you're ever wondering like, why is the water product just sitting, it's not absorbing, use the steam, warm up your hair a little bit so that you can absorb that moisture there. And don't overload it with heavy oils either. A lot of people think because it's just sitting on there, like, okay, let me put a lot of oils. Now you're going to have that buildup, right? And so next will be the medium porosity. That's like the balance that's in the middle. And so you see with that one, like it absorbs moisture and it holds pretty well. I feel like that's helpful. But consistency is key with medium porosity, because sometimes you can mess that up too. You know, too much oils, too less oils, because it's in the middle, you got to find that good balance. For high porosity hair, it absorbs moisture really fast and it loses very fast too. So that looks like dryness, like breakage, stuff like that. So if you're not maintaining it properly, you'll see a lot of breakage in your hair, but that's with high porosity. So sometimes with the high porosity, it can feel like it's moisturized at first, but in a few hours it can be dry again. So with that, it's the add the moisture in, but then you fill it in with oil. So with that part, that's the high porosity hair that she was talking about. So the water moisturizes your hair, and the oil is filled in. I know I grew up like, just, blue magic, put some grease on your scalp, you'll be fine. It's just sitting on top. It's got absorbed oil and water and then the oil. And so how that connects to locks specifically though, because porosity affects it can affect how firm your lock is, how fast or slow they mature, how they hold moisture, or how healthy they stay over time. And so with that, don't overuse the products, don't under moisturize because you feel like it's too oily or it's not oily enough. And then you make sure that you're going to a loctician when you do notice that buildup if you're not able to get it in control, because you don't want it to get too much and then your locks start sticking out or falling out, whatever that looks like for you. So I want to say, let me go to my page because I'm not sure if I had to do it, but I'm not sure if on here. So there's a porosity test that y'all can do. I don't know everybody. You get a cup of water. right? You'll take a piece of your hair and you'll put it in a cup of water. If it floats, then it's low porosity. If it sinks slowly, it's medium porosity. And if it drops fast, it's high porosity. So I feel like that's really important for you to know that it will depend on the type of products that you get, right? So if you have hair, let's say that you have hair that it absorbs really quickly. If you use creams can be way too heavy. It's kind of like using castor oil. It's too much. It'll just sit and it'll build up. I would stay away from creams, especially for those
Leave-in
with locks.
conditioners, all that stuff. Edge control. If you do use edge control, wash it off the next day and reapply. Because all you're doing is pushing it into the lock. Pushing it into the lock every time.
So my question is, I think I have high prosperity. So it made me think, like, if I decided to get live, I noticed with my hair, it takes it forever to dry, like forever. Is there any experience you had with doing locks and like mildew smells? Because the water's just sitting in there and now it just started sour.
There's actually people that have really stinky scalps, and it's after the wash. And I mean, when we wash hair here, that's actually what we're known for, is our washes. That is where we go to
Everybody needs to be
that's where
known
it all
for.
starts. That's our canvas. That's why all of our new clients are required to come in. It doesn't matter if they had a wash yesterday. Coming here, they're gonna get the full service because it's our canvas to start with. A lot of times I've had clients, we call them cheesy scalps because these things smell like Cheetos. No, for real. It's a real thing. It smells like feet. And the scalp is clean. And I mean super clean. But it is exuding that smell. We reach and we can smell it on our fingers even after washing our hands. You know, like when you put garlic and you can smell it, that's how it is. There's some that smell some distinct aromas. And that's an overly producing yeast. A lot of yeast on your scalp. Your nutrition has a lot to do with it as well. Drinking water. Shifting scalps can retain more yeast than others because they have those little crevices. So washing it sometimes is not a lot for people, but it's mainly because they're not following a good wash routine. I've had clients that I've removed that smell. There's clients that have been with me for 3-4 years and it still smells that way. And I know it's not what we're doing, that's just their body, their nutrition, their medication, their hormones, life changes, also stress. Some people will come and they'll have bald spots and then it grows back. Stress periods have a lot to do. Traction, alopecia because of styles, always doing the same style. You have postpartum alopecia, which I've also put off like 2 sets from postpartum. Because it's just and then they just it's just depression, anxiety.
I tell them to keep taking their prenatal vitamins even after they.
Yeah, put them in your shampoo. That's what we do in Mexico. We put our prenatals in our shampoo.
I was wondering too. Like I know when I had my long hair, I would wash my hair every day, but it was just like a thing, right? And conditioned, but I would put it in a ponytail right after. And I noticed that it took it forever. Like I'll let it out by the end of the day, and it would still be wet in there. And I noticed that the smell would come also from that. So do you recommend like being under the dryer?
So that's the perfect 3-step shampoo. Consists of you washing it, drying it, and styling it. That's the 3-step shampoo. So you have to dry it. Drying is like crucial after your wash. If not, it's not considered a complete shampoo. The dryer is very important. Even for loose hair, for us too. I have left my braids wet before. Even these, like, you know how they soak them? Yeah. If I were to lay on there, I could be like, oh my God, I gotta wash them. Yeah, it'll start smelling like a dirty mop, like right away. So it's for all types of hair that happens. If you don't dry it, that's the proper way to wash. For us, for my type of texture, blow dryer, I can't always blow dry it because I'll get split ends, but I do try to dry it. Like I will not go lay down with it wet or anything like that. So drying is a very important part of you completing your 3-step shampoo process. So yeah, just drying it, that's where the smell comes from. And then your scalp starts to get used to that. So now it kind of smells that way now until you're able to push that smell out, which is possible. I pushed smell out of a lot of people's locks, but more than likely it's because it's staying wet. A lot of people will leave them wet, they smoke weed, they smoke cigarettes, all that smell. I'm taking a break from the ganja right now. But,
I got you.
I'm an avid smoker myself.
break.
And I heard kind of sometimes too, so I gotta wash it off and stuff because it will smell. And honestly, when that hot water, I tell people all the time, start your wash with hot water. It's because if you don't, people tell me, well, I want cold water. I'm like, I'm not gonna use cold water till the last wash.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't wash your dishes with cold water.
Right.
Same thing with your hair. You need some hot water and you need to let it break down that dirt and that castile soap. We use Dr. Bronner's. Here, you can use any scent, just because I find that one to be super strong, especially the peppermint one. It just strips you. There's another brand, you would use any castile soap as long as it's 100% organic. Sprouts has one called Roots that's amazing.
Oh, wow.
And it's way cheaper than Dr. Bronner's, and it lathers really nice. But yeah, that castile soap will really, really break down, but you need hot water on your locks the first wash. After that, if you want to use some warm or cold water, that's fine, but your first wash has to be with hot water so you can break down that dirt that you don't dry out.
I volunteer as tribute if you want to show some styles and techniques or anything.
Yeah, we can.
Hair show.
Right?
Also, still feel free. We have mimosa.
I'm gonna restart this live. Hold on. Get like 30 seconds. What's going down? Where's your boy Cowboy Richie checking in? As y'all saw, y'all got to see a discussion going on during the workshop. Right now, we finna take a quick little break before we transition into a live demonstration. I'm Cowboy Richie, the 24-hour hair doctor. I be chopping and locking boys down. Look, you can pull up on me at 4015 Dyer Street, the legendary Scales Barbershop, Frontline Barbershop, or I'm 24 hours. So when we close up the shop, if you still need a service, you can hit me up. I'm 24-hour mobile hair doctor, Cowboy Richie. So El Paso, I just want to say thank you. I've been in the city about 6 weeks. Been at the shop for about a week and a half. And nothing but blessings and nothing but great vibes and energy out in El Paso. So I just want to say thank you. If you do not know, though, you got an opportunity to win 8 chops in the month of April. Just tell me who you think gonna win the men's tournament and the women's tournament in the March Madness. You get it right, I'm going to give you 8 chops. 4 for the women's, 4 for the men's. Also, every day we got different deals, 50% chops, 50% off on your chops. So today was Sunday. Anybody that was in the healthcare industry was able to come through and get a 50% off chop. Tomorrow is Monday. So on Mondays, you pull up on 4015 Dyer Street, the legendary Scales Place, the Frontline Barbershop. Everybody that walked through the doors, if you ask for Cowboy Richie tomorrow, chops 50% off. I am Cowboy Richie, the 24-hour hair doctor. I be chopping and locking boys down, and I approve this message. I'm going to be right back. I'm finna restart the live. And we over an hour with this live, so I just want to give it some breathe, because y'all know how these platforms be. You get past a certain time limit, start going crazy. Cowboy Richie, 24-hour hair doctor. I approve this message. We're going to be right back. Love y'all.